This conference will now be recorded.
It's good for us. Okay, then.
We have a four. We did four. So. Steve, did you call Dave? He's coming. Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to call to order the meeting of the Board of Directors for July 28th, 2022. In accordance with NRS 116-31083, this meeting is being audio recorded. A unit's owner may record an audio tape or any other means of sound production, a meeting of the executive board unless the executive board is meeting in executive session. The unit's owner, before recording the meeting, must provide notice of his or her intent to record the meeting to the members of the executive board and other unit's owners who attend the meeting. The meeting will also be recorded live and uploaded to the website to be viewed later at the conclusion of the meeting. Please take this moment for those of you in the room to silence cell phones and watches and other electronic material, and for those online to please mute your microphones so that we don't pick up your background noises unless you are directly speaking during the comment period. Also in accordance with NRS 116-31085, sections 3 and 6, the board met for the routine executive session on July 26, 2022. Consult with their attorney for any proposed or pending litigation the association is involved in, conduct hearings and or review individual resident appeals regarding violations of the governing documents and or delinquent assessment accounts. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A quorum is made by the 4 directors present. Dave Meredith is running late and Paul Perlstein is out of town traveling, but we have the 4 requisite board members. At this point, we'll move to approval of the agenda.
I move that we approve today's agenda.
Second.
I second it.
Okay, been a motion to approve the agenda. Any comments, discussion? Hearing none, we'll move. All those in favor of the agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of minutes.
I move to approve the June 23rd, 2022 Board of Director minutes as presented.
Second.
Seconded.
Okay. With the board minutes of June 23rd, 2022, are there any additions or deletions, corrections? Okay, all those in favor of approving those minutes as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Wendy?
I move to approve the July 11th, 2022 board meeting minutes as presented.
Seconded.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the July 11th, 2022 Board of Directors minutes as presented. Any additions, deletions, corrections? Hearing none, move to approve as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, President's report. My report is going to be brief this afternoon. The Board of Directors has been busy bringing to fruition the many projects that we have talked about for the past 2 years. The restaurant continues to move along and now has a name, Yorktown Grill. Yorktown, Virginia was the place of the last battle of the Revolutionary War and the surrender of the British troops in 1781. It's also the name for 2 great aircraft carriers, the USS Yorktown CV-5, which served in the Battle of the Coral Sea and was sunk after the Battle of Midway, and the USS Yorktown CV-10, which performed with distinction during World War II, Korean War, and in the Vietnam War. The name is in keeping with the patriotic and Revolutionary War naming conventions of our centers and meeting room. It is also a name that honors all those servicemen that served on these 2 great carriers, which is in keeping with this community valuing and honoring all of our men and women who serve in the armed forces now and have served in the past. We'll open in early 2023, and if it's possible, if all elements align, that it could open later this year. Today, we open the bids for the renovation of the Anthem Center bocce ball courts and the construction of 8 new pickleball courts at Liberty Center. Work will soon begin on the East Lawn Water Smart Landscape renovation project that was recently awarded. Soon you will see fencing going up along the East Lawn, and you can observe that trees have been sprayed with red X's to indicate their removal. So the work is beginning in the first stages of getting done. The board recently met with the task force that worked for over the past year in revising our architectural design guidelines and our rules and standards. A community forum is scheduled for Thursday, August 11 from 1 to 3 p.m. in the Delaware room. The community will be provided with the documents via the website in advance of the meeting. And so finally, all of you who have contacted us for the past year and a half about flickering and multicolored lights, what we can or cannot plant and what flags are permitted, will get an answer. We want this opportunity to hear your comments and to provide input prior to the finalization of these documents. And so please plan on attending. Later in the month of August, the board will meet with representatives from the Anthem Community Council to learn of their budget assessment for 2023, and this will be followed by the board having a budget workshop with the Finance Committee to review the association's 2023 budget. The Anthem Community Council is having their quarterly meeting at the Solera Clubhouse on August 25th, beginning at 3 p.m. Please attend their meeting to hear their plans for the coming year and to provide them with your input and comments. And that will then be followed by, you can then come right on over here for our 6:30 board meeting. That will be another one of our evening meetings. And in September, the board will start holding town hall meetings with residents. The first one will be held on September 9th at 1:30 p.m. in the Bristol Concord Room, with the second being held on October 18th at the same time and place. This concludes my report. Sandy.
Good afternoon. We'll start with community standards. The Community Standards Department top violations for the month of July include storage of trash containers. Homeowners are expected to store their trash containers in a location that is not visible from outside the lot when they are not out for collection, and place them curbside only for the shortest time necessary
So
to.
we're on social media and out there on a regular basis, but also a terrific player as well, because multiple schools.
Muting. Please keep your trash cans stored in either the garage or on the side of the home behind an ARC-approved trash enclosure. Homes with perimeter walls or perforated metal screen fences with a return wall or screened gate, a minimum of 5 feet in height, qualify as approved trash enclosures. And remember, on those windy days when it seems to be a lot lately, take particular care to avoid containers from blowing onto neighboring properties. Moving on to fitness, we are excited to announce that the fitness center equipment update project is almost 100% complete. All equipment has been delivered and installed. Carpets and flooring had a deep clean, and cabling and wiring were installed. The layout of the cardio and strength rooms has been adjusted to provide a better, more intuitive flow. And the new equipment has been getting lots of positive feedback, and the fitness center orientations have been at capacity. As with any project of this magnitude, there was bound to be some glitches. In the case of this project, there were 2 outstanding issues that are in process of being resolved, and that's related to electrical and coax cable. During the removal of the former equipment, it was discovered that the set of outlets along the east-facing wall where the treadmills are positioned did not have the proper power capability. Treadmills are unique in that they require individual higher capacity power and cannot share a power source, meaning they cannot be what is referred to as daisy chained. When treadmills share a power source, they can lose functionality and in extreme cases power off. This issue was not something that we could have foreseen. We were able to redirect a total of 6 dedicated outlets to power the treadmills that are available to use immediately, and we have contracted with an electrician to install enough additional dedicated lines to accommodate the total number of treadmills located at Anthem Center. To accomplish this, though, permits must be acquired. As of this time, at the time of this writing, the work is scheduled to be completed the first week of August. Now about the Cox cable installation, we have a different frustration, a lack of project planning on the part of Cox. The fitness center update was a 10-month-long planning feat. Beginning in February of 2021, SCA was in contact with Cox to alert them to the need for each new piece of cardio equipment, both in this round and future updates, to have the ability for Cox cable to be carefully integrated into the displays. We knew that the building cabling would need to be updated significantly. From the beginning, Cox assured us that they would be able to perform the necessary updates and physical labor required for our update. We met with them 3 more times on site at SCA to confirm their needs and their alliance with our timeline. On the Friday before the Anthem Fitness Center closed to begin the equipment updates, Cox informed us that they were unable to meet our timeline because they would need to pull cabling underneath Hampton Road, and to do that, they would need permits. According to Cox, these permits could not be provided before August 24th of 2022. We were shocked and more than a little angry. However, we could not delay the project on our end as all of the moving parts were already scheduled and in motion. We are in weekly communication with the project managers on their end to do what we can to expedite the Cox installation. Moving on to activities, July 6th and 20th brought lots of exciting guests to the Marco Tool Variety Show, where every show offers new surprises. And the farmers market was here on July 11th from 9 to 2 p.m. Not as many vendors are attending now due to the hot temperatures, and the products they sell cannot be exposed. We encourage you to come and support whenever possible to keep the vendors coming back. On July 15th in Freedom Hall, we featured a tribute to Chicago performed by Album Palooza Band featuring an exceptional horn section. And July 19th was the movie On the Lawn Under the Stars featuring Doolittle with Robert Downey Jr. and the classic tale of the man that could talk to the animals. July 24th in Freedom Hall featured Lady Legends of Rock playing tribute to greatest female rock acts such as Pat Benatar, Stevie Nicks, Hart, Janis Joplin, and many more. Laughter is an instant vacation, according to Milton Berle. And on July 25th, Comedy Tonight took the room for a 90-minute adventure with brilliant comedians. Our blood drive was back on July 26th and 27th with a lot of activity, and thank you to all who participated in helping save a life. Tomorrow night, join us for TGIF concert on the lawn at 8 p.m., covering all of the music genres with China. There will be a caterer there as well, offering light snacks and drinks for a minimal cost. Just a reminder that during the months of July and August, the monthly seminars that usually take place are on hiatus and they will return in September. Notary services are still an exceedingly popular service that the association offers to all of the SCA residents. You can schedule an appointment with our activities department. If you need help signing up for any activities or have any questions or suggestions, and please do not hesitate to call or email the activities department. Moving on to facilities maintenance. Our new roll-up door for the restaurant has arrived and is scheduled to be installed starting Monday. 9 billiards tables at Independence Center have been recovered. New LED lights have been installed on the stadium court at Liberty Center. The installation of new LED lights for the parking lots at Anthem, Independence, and Liberty Center are being scheduled. The installation of the new LED lights for the Anthem Center bocce courts are being scheduled. Repairs to the Pinnacle gates are now complete, and additional electrical work in the Anthem Fitness Center is being scheduled. Repairs to the fire pump are scheduled, and all our boilers were serviced last week. Our annual health inspection on the pools and spas at Liberty Center was conducted this week, and there were no corrections noted. That's kind of unheard of, and so we wanted to give a shout out to our pool techs, Maddie and James, for doing such an excellent job. And we have an lighting issue in Freedom Hall, and we are scheduled to have some technicians out tomorrow morning to help us address that issue. We have air wall repairs for here in the ballroom that are being scheduled. Moving on to communications, there were 15,000 visits to the website during the month of June with an average of 490 visits per day. 37,000 pages were viewed. Obviously, the most frequently visited pages was that welcome page, our activities, shows and events page, clubs, activities, and the resource center governance, and then finally the contact page. 8 e-blasts were sent out during the month of June. 4 were the community chronicles. 3 were related to the Anthem Fitness closing and reopening, and 1 for a villa meeting. And by the end of June, regular e-blasts were reaching at least 1 person in 4,511 of our residents in the community. We sent out emails, were received to association staff 41,000 during the month of June, and we sent out almost 12,000. 448 phone calls were made, and we received 614. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Sandy. Now we have director's comment, and this week I'm going to start on my right because I neglected to call on him and overlooked him last time. So I'm going to start with Greg, our treasurer.
Well, thank you, Steve. I just want to say it's been no secret I've been a big fan of sport courts here at Sun City Anthem, and today's a big day for sport courts because, first of all, I was at the Liberty Center this morning, and to see the new LED lights on the stadium court for tennis was pretty exciting. I can't play tennis anymore, but I'm anxious to see tennis players out there in the evening again. And secondly, we're going to open up 3 sealed bids for the bocce renovation. I see the bocce club officers here today. Welcome. And lastly, the 8 new pickleball courts. We're going to open up 3 sealed bids today. So it's an exciting day for sport courts. Thank you.
Wendy?
Nothing right now.
Barry?
Nothing right now.
David?
No comments.
All right. So Wendy will now give the Anthem Community Council update, followed by the City of Henderson update.
Renovation of the south bank of SCA Drive between Langston Hughes and Williamsport is underway. The estimated completion time is in 3 to 4 weeks. The council continues to interact with city concerning the sidewalk construction project. It is estimated to be completed by the end of November. In the opinion of the council's landscape team and arborist, the city's contractors have done extensive damage to the landscape and construction areas. The trees specifically were hard hit with root balls severed. Council has also identified areas where water was shut off during construction, stressing plants within those areas. Council leadership and its landscape team met with the city on July 20th to address these issues. The city indicated that the trees and plants affected would probably survive. This was not the position of council and its experts. Council demonstrated its position with pictures of the stressed trees and plants affected by the project, especially trees with roots dramatically exposed. The council requested that the trees be permanently removed. Council suggested and the city agreed that council's arborist and the city's arborist will inspect the trees and report back to city and council to have those trees unlikely to survive removed by the city at their expense. The survey activity will take place the week of August 8th. Par 3's design team and council have identified the next 4 areas for renovation, which include monument areas. Proposals are in work. Council has started to develop its budget for 2023. An important need is an increase in management time to oversee the numerous simultaneous projects. Council staff is now only a fraction of 1 person. The reserve study is in process. The next public meeting of the council is scheduled for August 25th at 3 p.m. at Solera. Art Schutz, council treasurer.
City of Henderson report.
The city of Henderson and Jerry Schroeder is under the weather. That's why she can't be here today. So I'm going to read her report. Infrastructure, Anthem Sidewalk Project. Construction of sidewalk around the Anthem Parkway at various locations, linking pedestrian access across the loop, enhancing safety in frequently used pedestrian corridors. Construction has started and should conclude around November. City staff has met with various Anthem groups about the project concerning any landscaping issues. Funding is from the City of Henderson gas tax, and the approximate cost is $3 million. Infrastructure, slurry seal process and project. The process of slurrying, microsurfacing public residential streets is a typical pavement preservation option used in all local jurisdictions in the Las Vegas Valley and across the southwestern states. The extreme hot weather and cold winter temperatures and abundant sunlight deteriorates the asphalt pavement in terms of oxidation and expansion and shrinkage cracking. Additionally, rain and surface irrigation runoff really impact the aggregate base underneath the asphalt through untreated cracks and roadway surfaces. Crack sealing and slurry mitigate this water intrusion. The slurry microsurfacing process applies a thin wear coat over the existing asphalt roadway and drastically increases the lifespan of the asphalt pavement. Typical expected life of asphalt is 25 to 30 years, and with regular pavement maintenance, this can be increased to nearly double its life expectancy. This has been verified by industry and research conducted by the various departments of transportation and universities, as well as physical trials on roadways throughout the country. After extended research and trials with different products and application rates, the city of Henderson has reached its current solution, which seems to provide the best results in terms of length of life and cost of the application. Type 2 slurry microsurfacing is a mix of emulsion, asphaltic oil suspended in water, small aggregate, filler, and polymers, which are all mixed in a specialized truck and applied with a spreader box to the rear of the vehicle. This application corrects small roadway deficiencies, provides a weather-tight barrier, and improves skid resistance. The application is expected to last between 7 to 10 years, and then the whole process is repeated. The City of Henderson Pavement Preservation Program has divided the city's residential streets into 7 quadrant areas and plans to crack seal and slurry microsurface each quadrant once every 7 years. What has been applied on the roadways in your areas are exactly how we expect the crack sealing and slurry microsurfacing to look like and function. Some damage from tire marks will occur to the new surface and will be noticed as drivers back out of driveways and turn the steering wheel hard without moving forward at the same time. But as the treatment cures and traffic drives over the marks, the product will blend and the obvious damage generally goes away over time. The biggest misconception is the comparison of type 2 slurry microsurfacing treatment to new asphalt pavement. It is not a new asphalt roadway. It is a surface treatment that will make the roadway underneath last several years longer. Crack sealing, the first step in the process, can be placed year-round, while the slurry microsurfacing, the second step in the process, needs hot weather to cure faster, typically 90 degrees and higher. For this reason, the maintenance program typically starts in May and ends around September. Infrastructure, Eastern Avenue, Horizon Ridge Parkway to Sun City Anthem Parkway. Rehabilitation of pavement and ADA enhancement at various locations, currently in design and scheduled to advertise this winter, 2022, with an anticipated construction schedule of 4 to 6 months. So that's underway. Funding, Regional Transportation Commission, the RTC, and fuel revenue indexing. Approximate cost $7 million. Infrastructure on Horizon Ridge Parkway, Green Valley Parkway to Seven Hills Drive. Pavement rehabilitation with ADA enhancements at various locations. Just beginning design, scheduled to advertise for construction bids in late winter or early spring 2023, with construction anticipated to last 6 to 9 months. Funding is the Regional Transportation Commission and fuel revenue indexing. There's no cost listed. Volunteer traffic signals and roadway improvements. Design of traffic signals at the intersections of Gillespie and Volunteer and Bermuda and Volunteer. Street lights will be added on Volunteer between Gillespie and Bermuda as well. The project also includes various traffic signals north of St. Rose Parkway and miscellaneous areas of small roadway improvements. The overall design is expected to be completed in early 2023, and then the project will move into construction. The funding is from the Regional Transportation Commission and fuel revenue indexing. Again, no cost listed. Sunridge Heights Parkway, Levi's to Costco. Construction of new roadway from the edge of the Levi's property to Costco. The project is currently advertising for bids and construction is expected to be complete by early 2023. Funding is from the Regional Transportation Commission and fuel revenue indexing. Approximate cost $2 million. Development along Volunteer. There are several housing developments under design construction along the south side of Volunteer from Via Inspirada to Gillespie. Along with this development, improvements are being made along Amigo, and the extension of the Bermuda will be constructed to the south of Volunteer. Projects, Mira Inspirada, southeast corner Via Inspirada, Via Da Vinci Senior Apartments, 7 acres, 189 units. Centurion, Via Centro at Via Inspirada, 24 acres, 764 unit mixed use with townhouses, apartments, and retail. Logistics Center, the southeast corner of Volunteer Boulevard and Chaparral, 53 acres, 5 buildings, 870,000 square feet of warehouse and industrial space. Development. Restaurants at the district at Green Valley Ranch. 2 new restaurants are proposed in the empty outer area of the district near I-215. Flower Child is a healthy eatery that serves for all diet types, and North Italia serves pizza and fresh-made pasta among other Italian fare. Both will have outdoor patio dining. These will likely be approved within a month. Henderson Police Department broke ground on its most state-of-the-art substation in West Henderson near Volunteer Boulevard and Via Inspirada. The facility will be home to HPD's dispatch center, police academy, as well as a future K-9 memorial site. Completion is scheduled for early 2023. Center for Excellence Workforce Training, just north of the new police station and across the street from Haas Development, a 21,000 square foot workforce development and training facility is being developed for opening in early 2023. It is a collaboration between the City of Henderson and the College of Southern Nevada and will train future employees in diverse areas of skilled vocational work. Events, Purple Heart Day ceremony, August 8th from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. The Purple Heart Day ceremony is conducted at the Purple Heart Plaza in conjunction with National Purple Heart Day. Both the observance and ceremony are dedicated to honoring service members who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our country, and those military personnel who have suffered a life-altering injury due to combat. Henderson is a designated Purple Heart city. In partnership with Purple Heart Veterans Chapter 730, the City of Henderson created the Purple Heart Plaza with shaded seating, game tables, and landscaping, allowing for a small gathering space in the heart of our business district. The plaza features the nationally recognized Purple Heart Monument, along with a donor brick program, allowing the public to purchase an engraved paver to honor a family member who has served in the U.S. Armed Forces. For more information, please contact Military Order of the Purple Heart Chapter 730 at 775-629-6168. The location is Purple Heart Plaza, 101 Market Street, Henderson, Nevada, 89015. Events, Vintage Market and Craft Sale, August 20th, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Whether you craft, upcycle, or repurpose, this is the show for you. During the summer, we will bring our popular show indoors. As a vendor, this is a great opportunity to display your treasures and talents. You can purchase a booth space that includes 2 6-foot tables. Vendors, please arrive by 6 a.m. to set up. All ages are welcome. Admission is free. Location, Silver Springs Recreation Center, 1951, Silver Springs Parkway, Henderson, 89074. The 30th Prince Kuhio Ho'olauli and Pacific Island Festival, September 9th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. and September 10th from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Aloha. Water Street Plaza will turn into a Pacific Island paradise during the 30th Prince Kuhio Ho'olauli and Pacific Island Festival, giving spectators the opportunity to enjoy the sights, sounds, and tastes of the islands. The 2-day event includes authentic island food along with handmade crafts, Polynesian villages, keiki zone, kids activities, and cultural entertainment. This free event is brought to Henderson each year by the Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club. Schedule subject to change or cancellation without notice. Management reserves all rights. Water Street Plaza is an outdoor venue, so please dress accordingly. Location is the Water Street Plaza, 240 South Water Street, Henderson, Nevada, 89014. Primary election report, Mayor of Henderson, nonpartisan. Drew Dyson, 6,388 votes, 11.18% of the total. Frank Ficcadenti, 7,453 votes, 13.04%. And Michelle Romero, 43,311 votes, 75.78% of the total. Total votes, 57,152. City Council Ward 3, nonpartisan, Carrie Cox, 13,419, 23.49% of the total. Trish Nash, 17,703, 30.99% of the total. John Jack Nyland, 2,791, 4.89%. Doug Perns, 1,609, 2.82% of the total. Steve Rice, 10,152, 17.77% of the total, and Jody Tyson, 11,443, 20.03% of the total. Total votes, 57,117. Municipal Court Judge Department 2, nonpartisan, Andrew Coates, 15,572 votes, 29.47% of the total. Jeremy Cooley, 28,050 votes, 53.09% of the total. Benjamin Durham, 9,216 for 17.44% of the total. Total votes cast, 52,838. At this point, only the Henderson City Council race will move on to the general election in November with the top two finishers. Who would that be? Top two would be, okay, that would be Carrie Cox and Trish Nash. Okay. COVID-19 resources. The city of Henderson has a page on its website, http://cityofhenderson.com, our city/COVID-19, containing multiple resource sections, including links to reopening, testing, databases, news, press releases, and assistance resources for both residents and businesses. City Hall is open. Many city services are now available online to avoid having to come to City Hall. Contact Henderson. If you have a question, concern, or request for the city, the most efficient way to have it addressed is to submit it through our Contact Henderson system at contacthenderson.com. Choose an appropriate topic or subtopic for your subject matter, and it will be directed to the appropriate staff person. You will then receive a response from city staff regarding your submission. Following this procedure avoids the extra time necessary for mayor and council staff to receive, review, and evaluate your communication, and then ensure it is routed to the correct department for action. The end.
All right, thank you. We now know what's going on in the city of Henderson. What?
Sure do.
Now we move to the opening of sealed bids.
So Stephen, we actually have 7 bids, and we have 3 that we know are for bocce and 3 that we know are for conversion of pickleball, and then 1 that isn't identified. So we're going to open the one that isn't identified first and figure out which pile it goes to, and then we'll proceed with the Anthem Center bocce.
Right.
And is that okay if Sean comes up and describes the Anthem Center bocce while we're opening?
Yes.
Sean. Figure out what it is. Yeah. And then.
So I guess I'm going to tell you what we plan on doing to the Anthem Center bocce courts. So this has been a long process. It's been going on now year and a half. So over a year now, we've been deciding how to address the issues with the Anthem Center bocce courts. There's 7 of them. So basically, there's some deteriorated rubber bumper on the sides that's been there forever. We did try to put some TPO material down, which is a roofing material. That did not play very well with the bocce club. So we did find, with their assistance, some rubber that we did order a sample of, and we did put that on court too. They did try that, and they said it's acceptable. The ball does bounce off nicely. So they thought about moving forward with that rubber. At the same time, we're going to replace the actual turf that's on the bottom. We're going to put new turf down there, but before we do that, we're going to, of course, pull that turf up. We're going to level and lock in the chat that's down there, which is under the grass. There's a product called Terracrete. It's sprayed on as a liquid, and it solidifies and makes that super rock hard. And then the new grass will go down. New rubber will go on the side rails, the front and back on the 2 sides. And then the turf will be sanded and then broomed. And then there you go. It should be pretty much done from there, and it should pretty much play very well. So that's what we plan on doing. Hopefully the bids are going to open. We'll get some pricing soon. And I don't know what the 7th bid was. Pickleball. Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're ready. This bid is from US Turf. And I may need,
So this is for the pickleball. This is bocce to pickle conversion, right?
this is
Yeah, because they
pickleball.
didn't bid on that other project.
The mystery one. The mystery.
Okay, so we're holding this. Okay, this is for, let's be clear, this is for pickleball installation. And one needs almost a magnifying glass to be able to read this. Basically, you know, the total cost is $601,953. And the vendor is US Turf.
Okay, I have another bid here for a pickleball conversion. Build 8 courts, and it's from Sport Court of Nevada LLC. And the total bid is $427,926.
I assume this is another one. Kelleher Davis Contracting Company LLC, and the total bid is $850,000. And no change.
I have a quote from MK House General Contractors for the replacement of bocce ball courts with pickleball courts. The total was $596,190.
Okay. Very, very good bids.
So while they're opening up the bids, one of the things that we do after we leave here is we take each of them and we level them to make sure that they're all quoting exactly what we ask them to quote. Because sometimes one will be significantly lower or significantly higher, and it may not be covering what we intended. So sometimes somebody will come back and go, well, there was a quote that was $200,000 less. How come we didn't go with that one? And the reason is that quote most likely left something out that they didn't include that we needed as part of the project.
Okay, for the bocce courts, I have a bid from Alpha Landscape LLC, and the total is $137,705.
All right. This is a little confusing from MK House. They gave us, these are all the same. Multiple copies. I hope this is multiple copies of all of the courts rather than one for each court.
Oh, God. I guess we'll know that soon.
So anyway, from MK House, their total is $95,800.
Okay, I've got par 3, who also does the landscaping for Anthony Beauty Council, I believe. And it says 7 existing bocce courts, so I assume it's for all 7. And the price, a bargain price, is $80,060. Is you 80,000 and yeah, $60. Okay.
80,060.
Yeah, yeah, look at that twice. 60.
Okay.
So,
All right. So Staff will now move to level, and we'll come back with who their recommendations are. All right, at this point, we move into the member comment period. Before I read this, do we have member? Okay. So members are permitted to comment on agenda items only during this time. Comments should be limited to 2 minutes. Residents that use their time to make comments in order to make inquiries to the board may or may not receive responses to these inquiries at this time, but your comments will be noted accordingly. The president may interrupt or terminate a member's statement if it is personal, abusive, obscene, irrelevant, or exceeds the time limit. Comments will not be accepted from owners in advance of the meeting. Comments shall be limited to 2 minutes. All right.
Pat Provosto.
Pat Provosto, Ridgecrest Village. The Bocce Club priority, as you will know by now, is getting the courts repaired. Ideally, you will approve the funding and complete the work prior to our fall season. Our fall season is scheduled to start September 12th, and it goes for 10 weeks. And then we have a tournament the week before Thanksgiving. By opening the bids today and then waiting an entire month to approve the contract for work doesn't leave much time to get the work accomplished before September 12th. So the bottom line is that we are requesting ideally that the contract bids be reviewed expeditiously and that the board of directors potentially review and approve the funding prior to the August meeting so that the work can be accomplished in a timely manner. If the unforeseen happens and this can't be accomplished, we're going to wind up delaying the September season. And, the entire bocce club has been really, really patient, really, really understanding. We've been putting them off, as we talked about, for the last 2 years about things being repaired. And we understand people have tried and attempted to make repairs as we go along. It hasn't been successful, which is why we are where we are right now. But people have become very, very frustrated. We've lost a lot of members. People can't, it's a game of skill. And people can't play this game of skill when you throw a ball and you never know which way it's going to go. And anybody who's tried bocce knows that you can't throw a ball and expect it to go exactly where you want it to go because the courts are not playable the right way. So our basic request, our bottom line request is that you consider the bids and if it's any way possible, approve them before next month so that the work can get started.
Yeah. Pat, just to comment to you, we understand your frustration and, are really would certainly can level them and compare them. The problem with calling a special meeting is it requires us to send a notice 10 days in advance. And that would be a cost to us of about $5,000 to mail notices to 7,144 homes. So that's the dilemma of what we face with a special meeting.
So I'd just like to add too, realistically, Stephen, it will take Sean and Larry and Teresa probably 2 weeks to realistically get through and level those bids correctly. We have to have time to go back to the bidders. So I'm looking at the calendar right now. If let's say they started working on this tomorrow, 2 weeks would be August 11th. That's, really only 2 weeks before the August board meeting. So it's a very tight timeline. In addition to the fact that we do have to mail out, we are required, we notice, Spirit is our official form of notification to the residents because it's mailed out to all 7,144 homes. So as an example, the September board meeting that we have a special board meeting, that's going to be noticed in the August meeting and it helps us avoid to have to do a special mail out. In this instance, we'd have to do a special mail out to accommodate.
So then I guess our request would be if our September start date needs to be delayed, that we be advised as soon as possible so that we can notify our members and not increase the frustration level.
I fully expect that once we have the bids in a fashion that makes sense, that we'll be sharing with Larry, your club president, what those results are and so forth. We're also up against, once the board approves, is the product available? How quickly can the contractor get the product? In some instances, we're looking at lead times of 2 to 3 months. We don't know until we, get going.
Could I make a comment? When pickleball was asked to leave the courts for a while for some work that was done last year, we were able to work with the leadership over at Solera. We were able to pick up some times over there on their courts when they were not using them. I don't know the availability of bocce courts around the
I
valley,
think
but
they only have a couple of courts at Solera.
yeah, but there might be, I don't know, but you might look at other areas that might potentially, you could displace some of your games for that brief time we're under construction.
Thank you.
Larry Anderson?
My name is Larry Anderson. I live at 2225 Savannah River Street. I'm president of the Bocce Club. I'll echo what Pat said and appreciate her coming forward. I'd like to say thank you to the board for finally resolving this. I know it's been frustrating on everyone's part. And I thank Stephen particularly. We've had several conversations about this and his commitment to getting this done. I understand what Sandy and Teresa said regarding the possible delays. While we're not happy with that, some things you can't control, and we understand that. We especially appreciate Sean and Larry at Landscaping for working with us all this time to get us where we are today. They've been very helpful and always very professional. And even they've been frustrated with how long this takes. But we would ask you to do your best. I don't expect you to spend $5,000. It's money that can go toward the courts. So I understand that. But as soon as you're able to get this done, if they can do it, and I think I read somewhere that it takes 5 days. I don't know where that was from a bidder or from someone else. If it only takes 5 days, they can do it in 5 days and we wouldn't have much of a delay. I don't know if that's realistic or not. I don't know where I saw that. It was in some of the publications. But we appreciate your work. We are going to work with you. We're going to meet with Sean whenever he tells us he's ready. Leveling will give him our view. We understand it's your decision, but we appreciate your allowing us to have input into that decision. And we'll give Sean our feelings on the bids, and then you'll make a decision and we can move forward. So thank you very much.
Well, and hopefully, Larry, in that process, that working with Sean and as a level, you'll be able to see exactly what's going to be done. And it may be, you may be able to get more information on when various contractors could begin the work and stuff like that. So just encourage you to keep in touch with him. Any other comments? All right. So now we'll move to financial reports. The first will be a presentation. Teresa, the quarterly unaudited financial reports, followed by the collections report and the investment report.
Okay, so before we dive into the quarterly financial results, I'd like to go over 2 items. One is the second quarter bad debt write-off, and the second is the status of the association's tax return. Next. So during the second quarter, we had one home in the association that was foreclosed by the city of Henderson for a tax lien. And the way the foreclosure process worked, whatever receivables we had, we weren't entitled to collect because the amount of the money that the house sold for. So for this quarter, for the one home, they had an assessment outstanding balance of $2,300 and change, fines of $1,200, late fees of $150. So we have a bad debt write-off of $3,722. This doesn't impact our current year's operation because we do have a reserve for bad debts. And after this is written off, we still have an allowance for bad debts of $55,000 on the books. So it's just something that we want full clarity and we're required to report to you. Next. So since we went over the bad debts, I thought we'd also share the accounts receivable balance to show that the association has an excellent payment culture. As you can see from the slide, both from prior year's assessments and the first and second quarter assessments of this year, we have a total outstanding balance at June 30th of $59,784, which represents, less than 0.5%. Although the balance of the assessments through June 30th are the 59,000 and change, those same assessments as of today have a receivable balance of $42,883. So we are continuously working on collecting those as well. Some goes to collections and they're working on collecting them as well. Next. So the next is an update on the tax return. So we filed the tax return this week. That's done and over with, but I just wanted to give a high level background. As a homeowners association, there's two types of tax returns. One is an 1120H that is unique only to homeowners associations, timeshares and the like, or an 1120, which is all corporations. In order to file an 1120H, we have to meet certain criteria that 60% of our income is from what they called exempt income, like assessments, and 90% of our expenses have to also be in a certain category. If you don't meet those requirements, you cannot file an 1120H. With our clubs and our fitness centers and personal trainers and all that type of activity growing, we did not meet the test to file an 1120H. So we did file and we will be filing an 1120 on a go forward basis. Next. So as I said at the beginning of this week, we filed the December 31st, 2021 tax return for the year. And it resulted in a tax bill that was $30,000 higher than the tax provision that was provided by the audit firm at year end. And again, this is mostly due to the conversion of being able to file one type of return versus another because of the type of deductions that are limited. That's the bad news, that we have to recognize that $30,000 expense in this year's budget. We do have a little bit of an offset. That's good news, is we had accrued for a liability for the preparation of our audit and our taxes for 2021 of $50,000, but the actual expense was only $30,000. So there was a $20,000 reduction. So net of that reduction in these taxes, there's a $10,000 negative impact to this year's financials. So now we can go to the next slide. So for the quarter, this shows actual revenues versus budget and the variance. So for the quarter, we had a positive variance of $42,465, which means we just spent that much less than what was budgeted. If you go to the next slide, we have that same information, but it's for the 6 months year to date ending June 30th. So we're halfway through the year. Our revenues are $4,522,000 and change versus the budget of $4,579,000. which is a negative variance. We're getting the assessments that we need, but for the first half of the year, the reduced amount was mainly due to items like fitness center revenue, less interest income than was expected because the rates were lower. The expenses are lower than we anticipated. So year to date, we have a surplus of $117,696. If we go to the next slide, it'll show some of the items that are contributing to it. These are the major contributions. Some are positive and some are negative. So payroll year to date, we are trending a little over $100,000 less than budget. And mainly that's due to when positions become vacant and we haven't filled them right away, and then the corresponding benefits that go along with that. Repairs and maintenance, again, we have a positive variance, just under $70,000. You know, we have to budget consistently with prior years and have something there in case a repair is needed, but we don't know the timing of it, and the budget is coming evenly throughout the year. So even though there's a positive variance now, you don't know if that's going to carry throughout the rest of the year or not. Landscaping, same thing. It's pretty consistent. Our big things to pay attention to are insurance and utilities. These both have negative variances, which mean our actual expenses are coming in greater than what was budgeted. The insurance is partially due, as we said in the last quarter, that we didn't get the quotes for insurance until after the budget was put together. One of the things when we put the 2023 budget together, we are talking with the insurance brokers to see what they anticipate as the increase in premiums to hopefully be able to capture it a little better. But unfortunately, the budget has to be complete, whereas our policies don't renew until November 1st. And so we don't have solid numbers, and we're all making the best guess that we can. Utilities, they have an 80,000 plus negative variance. This is year to date. We expect this to continue to grow. It's going to be in excess of $100,000. Is it going to be double what it is now? We have no idea. All of the utilities have raised their rates. Water, they've raised the, per gallon rate. They've also created more tiers where a larger rate comes into play that wasn't there before. The electric company went up 8% this quarter. In October, they're going up another 1%. So we didn't anticipate the increases to be as large as they are. And again, we're going to try to the best of our ability account for that in next year's budget, but nobody anticipated inflation to be where it is today. So on the next slide, it just shows, areas to highlight that we are continuing to watch very closely and will continue to report on. We have the Southern Nevada Water Authority turf removal. The East Lawn project is already underway, and as they said, next week that will start. But then next is the Hampton Road turf removal project and the villas, and each of those projects is currently in the stages of preparing to go out to bid. We put inflation here. In years of past when we put the budgets together, we used inflation of 3% and 5%, depending on what the categories are. When we're putting the 2023 budget together, we're using inflation rates of 10%, 20, and 25, depending on what the category is. So, we will keep you informed to the best of our ability. With the 2023 budget, just wanted everybody to know what the process is. First, the accounting department, we put together our first stab at the budget. We use the last 5 years of actuals plus compare it to what our current is versus budget and use that as a starting point. Then we go to the different areas to see what's the appropriate inflation factor to apply, and we do that. The next step is we go over that budget with Sandy. Then our next step is next week, we meet with the finance committee and we just have a workshop to go over it line by line to see that we're all in line as to what we think the direction for the association is. Once the finance committee has agreed and we've made whatever changes are necessary, then management, the finance committee, and the board of directors will meet in late August to go over that. After we've done that, we will schedule a community workshop in September. So anybody in the community who wants to see where we stand with the budget process and have some input. In October, there is a mailing to each of the homeowners. And then in November, the budget is ratified for next year. The other items that are on here, the utility expense and insurance, we've kind of went over that. We will continue to track them to see how they're trending. And then the restaurant, Sandy will continue to provide a report monthly at the open board meeting as to what the expenses are year to date and what the progress is. And we have a copy in the board book as well, which you could see online. Next. So we've talked about this in the past. We had the asset enhancement fee, which is when somebody sells a house, if it was purchased after April 19th of 2004, it's 1/3 of 1% of the sale price. And so we always want to report what we've collected associated with that because it's another funding source for the association. According to the CCNRs, we can either use it to fund operating budget shortfalls, deficits, or we can use it for capital projects. We hope to be able to use it to capital projects because it can enhance the association, but we do have that as a fallback. What I want to point out here is from a tax perspective, if we use it for one reason versus another, it has different taxability. So the December 31st, 21 balance of $646,893 has been earmarked to use for the non-reserve portions of the theater sound and lighting project and the bocce ball to pickleball court conversion. And when it's used for capital projects, it's not taxable. So there's a benefit for us using the funds that way. So as of June 30th, we have $1,057,000 in there. If you can go to the next slide, please. So we just include a report in here of all the money that has been spent from the reserve fund year to date. I'm not going to go through the list, but you could see things like, doors, windows, fitness center, computers, some sports courts repairs. But year to date, we spent a little over $500,000 on projects that come out of the reserves. Next. And as of June 30th, here are the reserve dollars by Main and each of the villas and Pinnacle. So you could see that the Main had just shy of 15 million, Canyon Crest a little under 50,000, Clubhouse just about 90,000. High Mesa, 136,000 and change, Mountain View, almost 174,000, and Pinnacle, 570,000, for a total of 15.8 million. So one of the things to keep in mind is next year, in 2023, we will be doing a full reserve study where they'll be looking at the assets that are in there. Are they properly valued and what will we need to collect for the reserves? And when we have that information, then we'll be able to provide the percentage funded. Next, please. And then the last thing we report on is any projects where their budget is greater than 75,000, what's the status of the project? And so currently we have 3, which is the fitness center. Sandy already gave a pretty extensive update on that, so I won't comment anymore. Community patrol, the 3 vehicles, we had an approved cost of $116,000 and change. In total, we spent $81,841, but that number is net of the $40,000 trade-in that we got for the 3 existing vehicles. And that just gives you an idea of like inflation and how wacky everything is. 2 of these 3 vehicles were not drivable. We had to get them there on a tow truck. When we were doing our guessing as to what we thought we would get for these vehicles, we were like, 3,000, 5,000, when we got 13,000. So something that worked in our favor at least. So that's the end of the presentation for today. And if anybody has any questions. Okay,
Does
sorry.
that cover investment report also?
Yeah, so in the financial package that you'll find in the board book, you'll have the slide presentation that we just saw. You will also see an in-depth financial statement package, which all the balance sheets and profit and loss statements for the main association, operating and reserve, and each of the villas both as well. The last pages of there have all the investments detailed out, again, summarized by villa or main association, and then each detailed instrument. You will also see the legal quarterly report in there as well. So everything that's on the agenda is in the board book. So now we have a couple of motions to make in regards to the financial statements.
Okay. So the first motion is to approve the litigation disclosure statement provided to us by our attorney. And there's one action noted in that, and we're required to disclose that per the law. So I would like to move to accept the legal quarterly litigation disclosure statement as prepared by the Clarkson Law Group to be placed in the resale packages as per NRS 116.
I second it.
Okay, any discussion? If there's no discussion, we'll move then to vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next motion is to approve the second quarter 2002 bad debt write-off in the amount of $3,722.
I second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the second quarter 2022 bad debt write-off in the amount of $3,722 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the last motion is to accept the unaudited financial report January 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2022, including the collection report and investment report as submitted.
I second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We now are on the consent calendar, and I would move to accept the consent calendar items 1 through 15 for the committees, service groups, and advisory groups as presented. Dave, could you use your microphone, please?
I second.
Okay, thank you. All right. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now to committee and service group action items. There is this is a motion to approve and accept Dave Lashevsky to a third 2-year term as a member of the CLC commencing August 1, 2022 and ending July 31st, 2024. Dave was here earlier, but I think he is gone. Yeah. So anyway, that's the motion for his appointment.
I second it.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, you then have a listing just for your viewing of approved reserve expense items in the month of June, approved by our Chief Operating Officer, and this only one this month, and that involved $2,380,011 to replace 8 hinges on the Pinnacle entry and exit gates. So board action items. This deals with the IT infrastructure equipment, and this is to approve the purchase and installation of new routing, switching, and wireless IT infrastructure equipment. So we will move to the motion.
All right, I propose that we approve the purchase and installation of new routing switches, wireless IT infrastructure equipment from CVE Technology Group in the amount of $150,833.70 to be paid from reserves. A quick explanation. This infrastructure is basically to update some very, very old communications and internet infrastructure. It helps improve the security and performance of our system. It is the stuff that gets the bits from one place to another. And included in that is a new set of the latest technology Wi-Fi units that will improve the performance of Wi-Fi in the facility over time. So I propose this.
Okay.
I second the motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the IT infrastructure equipment purchase, and any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the purchase and installation of the IT equipment from CVE Technology in the amount of $150,833.70 to be paid from reserves, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Unfinished business, we'll have a quick update from Sandy Seddon on the restaurant.
Sure. So just a couple of things to note. We have basically finalized our design for the front of the house with Campbell House Designs. They were waiting for us to weigh in on a few issues. Just this afternoon, I did get an email from them asking me a few more questions on the layout. Once that's agreed upon, we will move forward with the specific drawings and the materials so that we would then be in a position to go out to bid to work on the front of the house refurbishment, which, keep in mind, no walls are getting moved, nothing. It's furniture, fixtures, tile, carpeting, paint, the tables, the chairs, and so forth. I'll extend to the back of the house and just talk about the kitchen area. Paul Perlstein and I have had a series of meetings with Western Hospitality Group, their national food and beverage director, and as well as their national chef. They've been on site. There was some inventory done. They worked with us to put together a list of what they believe their needs are, all encompassing for the back of the house and for catering and so forth. A few requests for some equipment swap out. They're looking at a smoker, a combi oven, and rotisserie. They called out inspect silverware, china, glassware, and etc. In instances where they could utilize things that already exist, they are attempting to do that. For example, there's covers that go on your plates to keep your food warm. You know that at a catering, they're looking at plates and adding to the existing inventory and looking for a plate that would complement that so that we don't have to replace all of those things. There's still work to be done on that list, but the initial list came over and Paul and I are reviewing it, and Paul is going to get back together with the National Food and Beverage Director to have some more conversation. In addition to that, in instances where we can get samples of furniture, we will attempt to do that from various vendors of the proposed selections. I know Stephen has already spoke to you about the naming contest. I just wanted to say a few more words on that. We had over 1,100 entries submitted by SCA residents, and so we wanted to thank everybody for their participation. And I did want to call out the third place name was the Colonial Grill that was submitted by Miss Ellen Carr. The second place winner was Hamilton House, and that was submitted by Miss Marla Levy. And then the winner, Yorktown Grill, that was submitted by Mr. Brad Blake. So congratulations to all of them on that. And then last but not least, the liquor license is underway, so much so that they asked us for a piece of information yesterday related to our sales tax certificate that we provided. It's in the works with the city. Western Hospitality Group is handling that. And the final update, as we promised you, is a list of the expenditures from 2021 and also from 2022 year to date, which is posted in the board book for everyone's review.
Right, thank you. All right, on to new business. I move to approve the additions and changes to the SCA employee handbook. Best practices suggest that this be done on a yearly basis, and to the credit of our HR person, Michelle, working with management staff and Sandy, came up with a very, very good revision to the employee handbook. So do we have a motion or a second to this motion?
So moved.
All right. So any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the additions and changes to the SCA employee handbook signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have member comments? There are no member comments. Next regular board meeting is on August 25th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. here in the Delaware room. With that, I'll adjourn the meeting.